Fantastic. So I think you can see my screen now, yeah? Awesome. You can see the timeline. Okay, fantastic. So, rewinding everything now with the screen, in position, we're going to introduce you to the timeline. And the timeline is available for your tasks and projects, and as well as your invoices. And you can switch to the timeline view from the view toggle right here. So as you can see, we have the list view, we have the cards view, and then we have the new timeline view. And from here, you can see all your projects when they're due, and when they start, and when they're actually due. Now, if you want to rearrange elements within the timeline, you have to double click on them to select them first. So let's say I want to move the tomato bakery, I want to move it to to start on the 20th. Now I can do it by double clicking on it to select it, and then I can drag it and drop it right here. Now, if I want to stretch the due date of tomato bakery, I have to click on this right arrow, and then I can stretch it by dragging and dropping it to however many days I want to stretch it to. And that changes the due date of this project. So now I want this project to be done on the 28th. And if I want to change for some reason the start date, you can also do that from here by stretching it like that. Now remember, to be able to remove elements without changing their start date and due date, you have to double click on the middle of them to select them first, and then you can drag and drop them, like here. Double click, and then I can drag around and then drop. Now, one really nice trick is you can actually zoom in and zoom out with the timeline. So let's say I want a view of the whole year. What you should do then is click on one of the main dates at the very top right here. So just double click on them, and that will zoom out to the whole year. So now you can see everything from January to December. As you can see right here, February and March, quite busy months for me. This is a demo, but just to give you an idea. And now I'm going to zoom back into March by clicking into March. And now you can actually zoom into the actual day. So if I clicked on the 2nd of March, like here, it will go into the hours view. So now I have an hour view of that specific day. And obviously you can drag to move around to the next day and so on. So let's go back to the actual month view by double clicking on the main date. Here we go, we're back here. Now let's go to the tasks timeline. So I'm going to go back to the main tasks page, and here we go. The timeline is here for my tasks, and it's the same concept. Double click on any of the elements to rearrange them without changing their start and due date, or hover over them and then click on one of the arrows right or left to change their start or due date. And from the tasks view, you can actually see your tasks. You can mark them as complete right from here. You can click on them for full details, just as you would normally do with any task. Now, that's the timeline view, but it's not only available, as I said, for your tasks and projects, it's also available for your invoices. So if I click through to my invoices, I can now actually see when my invoices are due. So let's say this 50% deposit is due on the 12th of March, and sorry, the issue date is on the 12th of March, and the actual due date is on the 23rd. So I can see all of my invoices, when they start and when they are due, and I can move them around if I want to sort of give more time to the client to pay the invoice. I can stretch it to, let's say, next Monday. Here we go. So now the invoice is due on the 26th instead of the 23rd. Now, that is the timeline. I'm going to go, how about I give you a couple of minutes to ask me any questions about the timeline before we move forward? Sounds good? So if you have any questions about the timeline, just type them now. If not, I will move forward and introduce you to the time tracking feature, and then we can keep the questions for the Q&A at the very end. Awesome. Okay, so let's now move to the time tracking feature. Right, so to start tracking time, you have to create a task. And you can do that from your main tasks page right here, or from tasks inside your project. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new task called design a new logo, for instance. And when I start typing the task name, there are two options. Add task, which create the task without tracking it, or I can go ahead, add the task, and start tracking it instantly. So by clicking on Start Tracking, the task is now being tracked, as you can see. Now remember, you have to track 1 minute or more for the task to be logged. Anything under 1 minute will not be logged into the system. So if you suddenly start tracking a task for a couple of seconds and then you stopped it and went to try and find it in a timesheet, it will not actually appear there because it has to be over 1 minute to be logged in a timesheet, which I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes. But from the main tasks page, you can see all the tasks that you're currently tracking, and you can track multiple tasks. So let's say I want to track this task now, send design concept. I click on it, and then I click on a little play button right here, and that starts tracking. And as you can see, all of the tasks that I track will appear in the main tasks page. Now, when there is tasks being tracked right now, this little green icon will appear, which indicates that you have tasks that are being tracked, that are live. And this is not only for the main tasks page, but also for tasks inside projects. Okay, so before we go ahead and move forward to show you the timesheet, I'm going to just give you a quick overview of the actual task time tracking widget. So this button is the play and stop button. There is no pause. So once you click again, it will actually stop the tracking. You can start tracking again of that task by clicking play, but to stop this task, stop the timer, you just click on it. Now this is quite self-explanatory. It's just the time that is being tracked. And this little green button with a $sign inside it, that indicates if the task is billable or not. If it was green, that means the task is billable. If it was not green, gray, it will actually indicate that the task is not billable. So if you want to bill, create an invoice at the very end, or see how many hours that are billable, then make sure you tick this green circle, which has the $sign inside it, to indicate that that task or the time I'm going to spend on that task is actually billable. So in this case, I'm going to make sure that my time on this task is billable. So click on it, and that is now billable task. Now, one last trick before I move forward is inside a project. Let's go to Tomato Bakery, for instance, to the cards view. Now, if you work with teammates or contractors and you want them to track their time, you can see if they're actually working on tasks in real time right now. So in this case, can you see prepare initial design concepts? Now that task I've assigned to Jonathan Martin, and he's a teammate. Basically, he's a team member. And right here, I can see a badge of him. And that tells me that he's been working on this task for 45 minutes. And this is in real time. So, if he stopped working on that task, he'll disappear from here. So this is a very nice sort of intuitive way of showing you your teammates and what they're working on right now in real time. Okay, so that is an introduction to the time tracking widget. And now I'm going to show you the time tracking settings before we go ahead and show you the timesheet. So I'm going to click on Settings, Business Details, and from here you can specify the general business hourly rate. So what is your hourly rate? Is it $20, $30, $100? So you specify it right here, and then you specify the currency of the whole business as well from here. And that will be applied to all projects and all tasks by default. Now, you can override this hourly rate per project, as well as the currency. So let's go ahead to Tomato Bakery. That's the project we were in. And from the Overview tab, you can then see the rate and the currency. So if this client, for instance, is from another country, you can change the rate or change the currency to sort of make it personalized to them. So let's say, for this client, I want the rate of this project to be $30, not 20, and I want it to be in British pounds. So you can override the default settings of the business to actual projects, and these settings will only be applied to that specific project. Now, you can also apply hourly rate to people. So I'm going to go ahead to click on people. And let's say Jonathan Martin is one of my teammates. I click Edit Profile, and then I should be able to see the hourly rate option. So that allows you to specify the hourly rate per teammate or per contractor. So let's say Martin's designer, he charges $20 an hour. Somebody else, like a developer, charges $30 an hour. So when they start tracking tasks, their hourly rate will be applied to these tasks. So these are the time tracking settings. And now I'm going to show you the timesheet. Now you can access the timesheets from two places. From your main timesheets page right here, which allows you to see your time, the time that you've logged for your own tasks, and also time logged per project. So from the project's timesheet tab right here, it will list down all the projects that has time tracked in it. In this case, obviously, we have Tomato Bakery. And as you can see right here, there's two tasks, one tracked by me and one tracked by Jonathan. And you can see the rate, the time spent, if it's billable or not, and you can change the status of it as well. So if I don't want this task to be billable anymore, I just click on it and select no. So that then sets the task to not be billable. I can edit the time. So let's say I spent more than 8 minutes on this, for instance, so I can put it 1 hour. Or here we go, 0. So it's like 16 hours, so you can change that. I'm going to do it properly. Here's 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I can change the rate if I want as well. And I can click on a task to see the details, just as you would normally do. Now, from right here, we have some quick reports for you. So it tells you the total time tracked for this whole project, how many of that time is billable, how many of it is not billable, what is unpaid, and what is what is paid. So this gives you a quick insight of the time that's spent, and how much you'll be able to charge for and how much you're not going to be able to charge for. And from a timesheet, you can create, you can send it to an email. So it will export the timesheet into an Excel sheet, and then it will attach it to the email, and then you can send it to anyone that you want. You can download it, and you can copy the link if you want somebody to view it publicly, and you can print it. Now, from the main timesheets, you can create an invoice. But actually, I'm going to show you how to do that from here. We changed that very recently. So I'm going to go ahead now to invoices. So if you actually use Plutio invoicing, I'm going to show you now how you can quickly add the time that you spent on invoices. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new invoice for Tomato Bakery. I'm going to assign it to my client. And from the project input right here, choose the project. So I'm going to choose Tomato Bakery in this case. And Plutio should then, I need to stop the time tracking first. I'm going to go ahead and stop them. Yeah. So make sure that the tasks are billable first. So I've marked this as unbillable, and that's why it didn't show up. But right now it's billable, so I'm going to go ahead to the invoices, go back to the invoice that I've created. And as you can see, Plutio will automatically tell you if there is any billable tasks for that specific project, and you can easily add it by clicking on this button. So in this case, there are 2 billable tasks for Tomato Bakery worth £41 and 67 pence. So if you click add this to the invoice, it will then automatically populate these tasks, their time and rate into the invoice, ready for you to just send. Or you can add tasks to the invoice manually by clicking on the task button, and then you can search the tasks from here. These are all the tasks that you've tracked. So let's say this one, for instance. And then you can fill in the rate, the hours, and that's it. So that's how you can add tasks to your invoices very quickly. So if you have, let's say, 30 or 40 tasks, just click that one button and it will automatically add these tasks for you. And if you're, let's say, you're invoicing the client for the final amount for the project, and you forgot to, add some couple of tasks that he assigned to you, or they assigned to you just at the very end, then Plutio will also detect that and remind you of any tasks that is billable and that is not paid. So you can add it to your invoice before you send it. So that's timeline and that's timer tracking. And now, finally, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the color tags. So from inside projects, as you can see here, my header is actually pink, and I have quite a few colors added to some of the tasks that I have inside this project. Now you can set a color to the project by hovering over the top 3 dots from inside the project and then clicking on Set Color. Then choose the new color that you want to apply to this project. And the same thing goes for tasks. You can add colors to tasks, task groups, and you can even add colors to your task board itself, just like that. Now, you can change these default colors from settings, default colors, and these are your default colors. You can maybe, change this one to purple, just change this one to yellow, change this one to green, and you can also change the green, make it a bit darker. So you can specify the default colors and they will follow you anywhere in Plutio. So now I've changed these default colors. If I go back and try and apply color to my project, here we go, it changed. Now you can use colors to group projects per client. As you can see here, you can actually see the colors on different views, list, cards, or timeline. So you can use colors to group projects per client, or group tasks per type, or anything. You can use them to indicate if the task is important or not as important, or the task is related to a design, or related to development, or related to finance. So you can use them to basically visualize your workflow and allow you to quickly and easily spot tasks or projects depending on what you're looking for by just looking at the colors. So that's timeline, time tracking, and colors. Now is the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, I'm right here. Ask me and I will do my best to answer you in real time. BJ, by a value, what do you actually mean? I'm not 100% sure what you mean. I think there is a... And Pascal, just to answer your question from earlier on, it's actually currently responsive. So the timeline on mobile is responsive, so you can use it on your phone. And we're going to be improving it as we go to make it more user-friendly on the mobile. But obviously timelines are better used on wide screens because that's the whole point of them, to be able to see a whole overview of tasks, projects, or your workflow. Yes, you can specify the project rate from the overview page. So you can first specify the hourly rate for the whole business, and then you can override it per project, and then you can override it per task as well. To edit the time that you already tracked, you can do that from the timesheet. So I'm going to go ahead now to one of the times that we've tracked. So here's the timesheet. Simply click on the time input right here. So here is 7 minutes been tracked, so I can click on it. So if I want to change it to 1 hour, 01, so that's 1 hour and 7 minutes, 47 minutes, I can adding manual time is not yet possible, Lisa, but it will be very soon. Yeah, you can actually change the value of the task right here. You can change the rate from here. So the rate of this task is actually £20, so I can change it to 200 if I want to. Yes, you can. You can change the color. So I'm going to go ahead to the project, and I'm going to make this dark. There we go. Now it has a dark background, and I can't change the task groups, just the task board, because the task group will have its color as a border at the very top. Come on, Pascal. Any more questions? So as I wait on your questions, I'm just going to quickly... Yeah, that is something we're going to be working on, Josh, as well. So for dark colors, we're going to show some white text, so the contrast, so we fix that contrast. Not yet. You can't sync Plutio to Google Calendar just yet, but we're working on our API right now, which will allow us to integrate with third-party apps quite easily. So stay tuned. Lisa, you can actually, anyone can edit the time that already been tracked, but you can disable that from permissions. So if you go to settings, user roles and permissions, click on teammate or wherever custom user role that you have, you can specify if you want them to edit timesheets or not. And in this case, they won't be able to edit it. You can, yes, in the future, you'll be able to start the timer. Because we are actually planning on creating a mobile app dedicated for the timer. So it will be a separate mobile app just for the time tracking. You can open it, just one click, and it will start tracking, and then you can specify the task, or you can add information to it later on. What do you mean by adding one-off tasks into projects? Do you mean like when adding tasks in the main tasks page and then moving them into projects? If that, then this feature is coming in April. Okay, so if there is no more questions, I will end this session. And obviously, you can always reach us from the live chat inside the app. Thank you ever so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next update next month. See you soon.